Ainsley, how you going?
Good. Just jotting down the 1st of August.
It's been, look, honestly, it's really interesting as I'm trying to sort of, I don't really have time to learn crypto properly, but just getting some help. And I've got wallets and this kind of stuff now, and I actually know the passwords, so I can actually get some of my money in some of them these days. It's really cool. But the difference between being supported in that journey and trying to find your own way, boy, oh boy, if you can find your own way in that journey, good luck to you. Because it seems to me that every time you find a way, it's something that requires a different way. It is really weird. Now we talked about oil. We talked about gold earlier. We talked about consolidation, false breakout and move. No mucking around with the oil. Let's just keep on moving, hasn't it?
To a point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, to a point here. So let's have a little look here. We had all this consolidation, but we knew the OPEC Plus meeting was coming up on Thursday. So we were talking last week about, I think we will see it go to 75, which was this very sensitive level, 75, 76, 75. Yep. And then we thought it will squirrel around a bit because it is a level. It is 75 being a round number, well, a solid number, not a round number, sorry. And what we saw here was, if we just pop over to the 4-hourly chart, you can see it just took off. And what we saw there was the announcement. There was an announcement saying that they were very close to an agreement between Russia and Saudi about increasing the restrictions, like lifting the restrictions, but only by 500. They were expecting 500,000 barrels per day. Okay, so what they're expecting there is that it wasn't going to be a big lift in the rate of supply. It ran up to $76 and then it had a pullback. And then at the 11th hour, there was this little teensy wincy tiny disagreement, and the agreement was off. So whilst they did agree to only lift supply by 400,000 barrels per day instead of the initial 500,000 barrels a day, i.e. keeping a bit of a chokehold on the supply, there was then this disagreement about, Saudi Arabia actually wants it more after the agreement. So the wheels came off there a little bit and price came back down again. So very unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. And look, I'm sure they're going to work things out because they have to move forward and just get a handle on things. But I'm still long on oil at the moment. It's just, even though we're talking about third waves, this Delta variant and all the rest of it, I was just reading earlier today about India is at 90% demand on their oil to 90% of pre-COVID levels because they've lifted restrictions. Unbelievably, I just read they've lifted restrictions, but people are back driving around and going back about their life as normal. And you just sort of think, this is a country that about a month ago was absolutely on its knees, but you got to move on, I guess. So this is where I think a lot of economies are trying to balance, as they say, trying to live with this disease, as opposed to shutting down and having sort of like an Australian attitude, which is zero tolerance of it. So hence we are still in lockdown, hopefully only for another week, but we are still in lockdown. So the demand for oil is slowly going back. We're seeing a lot of, and I'm hearing of a lot of fully vaccinated Americans are allowed to travel to Europe now as well. So if they're fully vaccinated, they're all okay. So we're starting to see the demand. Bear in mind, we were talking about whether the COVID third wave is going to be priced in. Well, you go back 12, 18 months ago, America and Europe were the last ones to actually price in the real cost of COVID into anything, because they just believed it was more of a Southeast Asian issue, as Trump used to call it, the China virus. However, that aside, we're still moving forward with oil. Production is still at a restricted level, and we've got demand on the other side starting to increase. So when demand doesn't equal supply, demand is greater than supply, we've got an increase in prices. Very simple equation. So we will see, I imagine, for it to keep going north.
So Ainsley, the plan is we're going to keep seeing it going up. We're around this 74, 74.50, 74.70 level at the moment. We need to see a break above that before we really committed long, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And possibly have quite big news on Monday morning because the OPEC stuff's still going on over the weekend, isn't it?
Sure is. They'll work it out. They'll work it out. I think they you know, there was disagreement, and you know, it's been a good 18 months since they've had their last disagreement. So you know, it was due for one. You know, they've been playing very nicely up until now.
Which has been record by about 17 months.
So you know, there was bound to be a spat somewhere along the line, wasn't there?
Yeah,
and
really
we've got one. But yeah, you can see how, you know, the market reacted the other night with it on, was it Thursday night, Wednesday night, I can't remember, where it just took off when they were just saying, oh, everybody's in agreement, and they're lifting the restrictions, but not as much as they thought. And then that all fell over. And it's just, unfortunately, oil is that sensitive to that fundamental news that comes out all the time. It's just, you know, very, very touchy. But yeah, we're just going to have to sit and wait and see what comes this week. But yeah, between that 74 to 77 area, goes up, comes back, retests that 75 level, bang. And then I think we're heading towards that 85 would be the next one, on our way to 100. Let's see.
100 by the end of the year has been the core for a long time, hasn't it? Interesting for mine, Andrew. I always think of oil as being the sort of the best barometer on how things are in the world. You know, when the price of oil is going up, things have got to be okay. And when the price of oil is going down, things aren't that good. And you know, the markets continue again. I think they're not pricing in. Not that I think there's going to necessarily be one, actually. I think that, actually, I was going to talk about Ainslie. Scott Morrison's press conference on Thursday has just gone through. You know, that was some big stuff he talked about. They're going to follow the Singapore model. They're going to live with it. They're going to vaccinate. No more lockdowns. Freedom for everybody. That's where we're going. You know, I like the sentiment. I'm still concerned that it only takes one variant that's resistant to the vaccine, and we're back locking our houses. But boy, it was a pretty big statement from him.
He had to do something. His lack of leadership has been underwhelming. The vaccine rollout, he had one job really in the last 18 months, which was to roll out the vaccine, and they just couldn't do it. It's just appalling.
You're about 25% of the population ahead of New Zealand, and our Prime Minister is still the #1 ranked politician in the world. Don't know, you know, you're doing a bad job, but honestly, we have the lowest vaccine rollout in the world in New Zealand, and the OECD in New Zealand. Literally, we haven't even got our oldies vaccinated yet here, and still, you know, untouchable in the polls, our Prime Minister. And how? Well, you know, I'll tell you how, Angie, quickly. We have him from Sydney with the Delta variant come to New Zealand, infect their partner, go to a museum with 2,500 other people, and not one local catches it. And there's no local transmission, and that kind of luck continues to be the plan for New Zealand. It is luck. It is luck. It is nothing but
luck, because people are catching it just from walking past each other at the moment up at Bondi Westfield, around the corner.
That is our strategy. By the way, I like Bondi Westfield. Good old place, like that part of town. Well, thank you for your oil. We won't go through the shopping malls of Australia as a topic at this stage as much as I'd like to. As we'll move on to Geoff and get into some Tasmanian.
Hey guys, I'm getting vaccinated on Tuesday.
Yay!
Congratulations, Suki. I'm pleased you're getting vaccinated on Tuesday. I think next week New Zealand's going to vaccinate one person as well.
See you guys.
There you go.